So this is the summary of the first lecture on chemical bonding and molecular structures, and actually I forgot to record the video, that's why I am making this summary. From next lecture onwards there will be recording and it will be available on both the app and on the YouTube. So I will give a summary of what we have discussed in the lecture. So the lecture was actually 1 hour long and many things were discussed which I cannot re-discuss or which I cannot discuss again in this video, but I will try to summarize it. And so many of you said that you couldn't join in the previous lecture, but it is very simple. You just use the link and you can join it. Next lecture is on the next Tuesday from 7 p.m. So now let us go into the summary of the previous lecture. So it was the elementary topic of CSIR NET exam or any exam. If you just start reading organic chemistry, then also it is relevant. It is very elementary thing, and this summary is enough. Okay, so in chemical bonding and molecular structure first, so these are the topics which we discussed: bonding in organic molecules, hybridization, sigma and pi bonds, molecular orbitals, delocalization, resonance, then some important functional groups, their orbitals, homo-LUMO, electrophile, nucleophile, inductive effect, mesomeric effect, hyperconjugation. All these things we discussed in detail. So first we talked about bonding in hydrogen. This is the energy profile diagram, and we have discussed that as we achieve the bond distance, you can see this is the bond distance. As we achieve the bond distance, the energy will drop down to its lowest value, then again it will increase. So this is the basic idea of bonding, the overlap between two 1s orbitals. Then we talked about hybridization and how different combination of s and p orbital gives sp, sp2 and sp3, all these orbitals. Then these are the examples of sigma and pi bonding. Okay, so in case of sigma bonding, it is head-on overlap in all these cases. In pi bond, it is lateral overlap or sideways overlap. Then we discussed about molecular orbital theory, how bonding molecular orbital and anti-bonding molecular orbital forms, how symmetry is important for bonding molecular orbital. In case of anti-bonding molecular orbital, the symmetry is different. You can see here you have a node. We discussed the molecular orbitals in allylic system, psi1, psi2, psi3. We talked about allyl cation, then allylic radical, and for allyl anion, all these things. So this is our allyl cation, this is allyl radical, and this is allyl anion. In case of allyl cation, we have 2 electrons. For allylic radical, we have 3 electrons, and for allyl anion, we have 4 electrons. How this we discussed there. For this psi1, we have 0 nodes because all orbitals have matching symmetry. For non-bonding orbital, we have 1 node. For anti-bonding orbital, we have 2 nodes. All this thing. Then we discussed about delocalization. So in case of delocalization, we have said that as long as there is continuous overlap, there is no saturated carbon, the delocalization will go on, and when we have a sp3 center, the delocalization breaks. Then this is the picture of some important functional group and their orbitals. So this is the overlap of one sp3 orbital with s orbital, which form sigma bond. This is sp3 and p orbital, which form another sigma bond. This is the representation of a cc pi bond. This is the representation of co pi bond. The difference is, you can see in cc pi bond there is no polarization and it has a symmetrical structure. For co pi bond, you can see the electron is polarized towards the oxygen atom because oxygen is more electronegative. This is the co pi star, and in case of co pi star, the polarization is just in the opposite direction, and the coefficient of the orbital is more on the less electronegative carbon atom. All these things we discussed. Then we discussed about HOMO and LUMO. HOMO means highest occupied molecular orbital, LUMO means lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. For a simple ethylene molecule, the CC pi bond is the HOMO because it has the highest energy among the filled orbitals. For a CO group, the CO pi star is the LUMO because it has the lowest energy among the all the unoccupied orbitals, right? And then we discussed about electrophile and nucleophile. In case of electrophile and nucleophile, so for to discuss electrophile and nucleophile, we discussed the reaction of this acid chloride with water, and we have shown that this water here act as nucleophile and acid chloride act as electrophile, and this is basically the reaction between the pi star of this electrophile and the non-bonding orbital, which is HOMO of this water. So if we draw, so this is our acid chloride, and this would be the pi star, right? This would be the pi star, and water molecule, it has a non-bonding orbital which is filled with electrons, so this is HOMO. Okay, so this will come to overlap, and this is actually the LUMO. So basically electrophile will have a low-lying LUMO, and nucleophile will have a high energy HOMO, and they will interact. And this is the basic idea of all organic reaction. If you find any organic reaction, it is basically the reaction of one electrophile with another nucleophile, or we can say the HOMO of one nucleophile with the LUMO of other electrophile, right? So this is simple. Then we talked about electronic effects. First we discussed about inductive effect. So when we have a polarized bond where carbon is attached to some more electronegative or less electronegative atom, then the polarization of electrons in the bond occurs. For example, when this carbon is attached to this fluorine will drag electron towards it, so it will acquire delta negative charge, and as a consequence the carbon will acquire a delta positive charge. So this is kind of induction, and that's why it is called inductive effect. And because here fluorine is withdrawing electrons, so it is minus I effect. But when carbon is attached to silicon, which is less electronegative than carbon, then silicon will push electron towards carbon, so carbon will acquire negative charge and silicon will acquire positive charge. And here this silicon group is actually showing plus I effect because it is pushing electron. Now we have also said that for this inductive effect, because it goes through sigma bond, it depends on the distance how the effect will be. So on the immediate carbon atom where the group which is showing this effect is attached to, that will experience the highest effect. So this alpha carbon which is attached to this bromine, it will have highest amount of positive charge. As we go on the beta carbon, the effect slows down, and on the gamma carbon it is even less, and for rest of the chain there is practically no inductive effect. Okay, so this is one thing. So it depends on distance. Then why this inductive effect is useful. So when we talk about stability of let's say carbocation, right? So carbocation is stabilized by this inductive effect. Similarly, a carb anion, for example, here you have a negative charge and here you have some fluorine, so this carb anion can be stabilized by the minus I effect group. So stability of intermediates is decided by the presence of this inductive effect, which we will see later in this course. Okay, so this is inductive effect, and this is the table where we summarize the groups which shows minus I effect and plus I effect. So all the electronegative groups, they shows minus I effect, and this alkyl and silicon groups, they shows plus I effect. But interestingly, this O minus group and CO2 minus group shows plus I effect, whereas this OH or OR and COOH or COOR, they shows minus I effect. The reason is very simple. In this anionic state, it has high charge density, right, high electron density, and the basic thing is why this group shows minus I effect, because they are electron deficient inherently. But when they are in negative state, like oxide or like acetate form, then they are not electron deficient anymore, they are now electron rich, and that's why they shows plus I effect. So this thing you have to remember. Then we discussed about mesomeric effect or resonance effect, and we discussed that how the electrophilicity of this carbonyl group is reduced by electron donation from this nitrogen lone pair, and this is basically a form of resonance effect. Now here this nitrogen lone pair is pushing electron, so that's why it is called plus R effect or plus resonance effect or plus M effect, it is also called, that is plus mesomeric effect. Similarly, when this hydrogen is attached to this carbonyl group, then this carbonyl group withdraws this nitrogen lone pair, and here this carbonyl group is showing minus R effect or minus M effect, right? So it is withdrawing, so that's why it is minus effect. Okay, so these two kind of effects are there, plus R and minus R. Now this benzene ring is very or phenyl ring, you can say phenyl ring is very interesting. It can show both plus R and minus R effect depending on the situation. When phenyl ring is attached to some positive center, it shows plus R effect, and by donation of electron, actually it stabilizes this positive center. This is how. Whereas when it is attached to some negative center, it withdraw electron and then it shows this minus R effect. Okay, so depending on the situation it can show both effect. But when some group is there, like if nitro group is there, then it will show minus R effect. But when some group with lone pair is present, like NH2 group, it will show plus R effect. But normal phenyl ring, either it can show minus R or plus R. Then this is the summary table. The groups like this COR, COH, COX, NO2 and aromatic ring in general, they shows minus R effect because they are electron poor in nature, electron deficient in nature, and in all these cases there is some low lying pi star orbital which is actually responsible for this minus R effect, right? There is some low lying pi star orbital. Whereas these groups with lone pair like OR, OH, NR2, NH2, NHR and all the halogens, they are plus R group because they have lone pair and they can donate this lone pair, right? They can donate this lone pair, so they are plus R group. Now there is another interesting effect that is called captodative effect, and this is observed when both these plus R and minus R groups are present in the same molecule and they are in conjugation. Like you have a nitro group over here like this, and here let's say you have some NH2 group. So you can see there is extended resonance which operates throughout the molecule, and from this end to the other end it is operating. So this is called captodative effect. This is called captodative effect, or it is also called push-pull effect. So this nitrogen group is pushing and this nitro group is pulling. So this is called push-pull effect. This is another interesting phenomenon. We also discussed that. And the last thing which we discussed is the hyperconjugation. So hyperconjugation is actually kind of resonance, but it is called no bond resonance because there is no actual bond. And generally when we talk about the stability of carbocation, this effect comes, and it is basically the overlap of some empty p orbital with the adjacent CH sigma orbital. So they overlap with each other to show this effect, and this effect is responsible for the stability of carbocation. And when we discuss the stability of these three carbocations, here the stability of this carbocations is decided by how many number of hyperconjugating hydrogen is present. For example, in molecule 3 there are 9 hyperconjugating hydrogen atom. For 2 it has only 4 hyperconjugating hydrogen atom, whereas for 1 it has 6. So that means 3 is most stable, then 1, then 2, right? So hyperconjugation plays important role in deciding the stability of carbocation. And regarding hyperconjugation, we put one assignment that you can check in the app and you can submit your answer. So that's all for the first lecture, and I hope that this summary will help you in some way because I forgot to record this lecture, Next time I'll record it and I'll upload the full lecture, and you can join the live session anyway, so that will be good for you, because there we can have some discussion, you can ask questions. So that's all for today. See you in the next lecture.